came to this. You're not sure what I'm talking about, are you? Let me explain. I just sent my latest book to my beta readers. That book has a working title, but I'm not sure about it yet, but that's not the point. So I got the first feedback from one of the beta readers, and it was exponentially better than I expected. You see, this book is a romance novel. Now, hold on. It's a dark and twisty romance novel. And because of that, when I responded to the beta reader, I told her, I feel like everything I have written has led me to this book. And after I said that, I started thinking about it. And I realized that that is the way art works. For every artist, everything you do becomes a building block for something that you are going to do in the future. I have written, you name it. I have written horror, thrillers, comedy, fantasy. I've written in so many different genres that I can't keep track of them at this point. But here's the thing. Every one of those books that I have written helped to educate me, helped to make me become a better writer. And just like composers, actors, musicians, directors, every artist kind of recycles some things of theirs. Not intentionally always, although sometimes intentionally. But what we do is we find something that we've done that works. And we kind of put that in our little cachet in our head and go, let's remember this for something later. Because at some point in your career, you're going to need this. And after a while of writing and writing and writing, or acting and acting, or playing music, songs, writing songs, and more songs, you get this massive cachet of artistic blobs and bits in your head. And sometimes you will inadvertently reuse one. And it's not plagiarizing yourself. I'm not saying that we take passages that we've written and reuse them. But we sometimes will use conventions that we've created and reuse them. And what I feel like with this particular novel, hopefully this entire series, is that every convention, every artistic blob that I've created that was of significance, that I have stored in the back of my head, kind of came out to the fore and said, let's just put this all together and create something new with it. And I'm not going to lie here. When I started writing this book, I was absolutely certain that I was setting myself up to fail, that it was going to be so impossible because I approached it as though I'm writing a romance novel. And you ask any writer out there who isn't embedded in the romance genre, and they will scoff at the idea of writing romance. But you see, here's the thing. And this is why so many writers short-sight themselves or short-change themselves. Romance is more than just bodice rippers. Romance can be just about anything. Now, throughout my career as a writer, you can chart how this has all happened. From the very beginning, from A Blade Away, the very first book I ever wrote, I planted the seeds of romance. Now, I didn't actually let it come to fruition in that book, but that started it all. Okay? And then there were hints of it in the iZombie series. And then the Reaper series came out, and then it was just full-blown romance right there. Grim and X. They were in love. But it wasn't a romance. It was a fantasy novel. And I have, at some point in my career, probably 5, maybe 10 years ago, I finally decided that I was going to be okay with adding romance into my novels. And I'm really glad I did, because it brought a cat singing to me from above. It brought a new layer to my writing. And it also opened the door to allow me to write this new series. And I remember when I first sat down to write this book, I wrote the first paragraph, I looked at it, and I was like, oh no, what am I doing? I don't know if I can do this. I deleted that paragraph, and I said to myself, you know what? Just do you. Just do you. And I started writing this romance novel, and I was shocked at how fast it came out, how easy it was to write. And today has been a day for airplanes and cats. So this is one of the few novels that I've written that I didn't have a single problem. I never wrote myself into a corner. I never had a problem. I never reached that point where I thought, what am I going to do now? It just came out. It just wrote itself, to borrow a cliche. And at the end of it, what I realized was that romance is not nearly as hard to write as I thought it was. Why? Because I had already planted the seeds and had all the building blocks that I needed from all the other books that I had written to do this. And I accepted that. I just let it be. I said, okay, I've done this before. I've done this story only in pieces throughout other series. And all I have to do is just focus on this little thing and let it blossom. And it did. And what started out, what I thought was going to be this kind of simple, dark romance became a more layered, more interesting story. And when I was done with it, I haven't been so satisfied with the writing of a novel in all of my life. And it was a romance. So to all of you writers out there pish-poshing the genre, I say nay, nay. I say embrace it. But I say embrace it as you. I say embrace it in a way that only you can embrace it. I mean, let's face it. 70% of readers are reading romance. Why not open your arms and let it into your heart? That's what I did. And I am thrilled with the results. And this was also one of the few times that I didn't even wait on beta reader feedback. I just said, I'm going to dive into the second one right now because it was still in my head. In fact, after I finished the first novel, I thought I need to get this short story out of my system because it's needed for an anthology. I started writing that story and I couldn't do it because I was still locked into that romance. I wanted to go back to that world and write that next novel. It's a wonderful feeling. And part of the wonder was just saying, I'm going to do me. I'm going to do me in this genre, and whatever comes out, comes out. And I guess the moral of this story is to trust yourself. To trust that you can write in different genres, that you can take on tasks that you might not have thought you could do. And if you just trust yourself as an artist, you can make magic. And that goes for anything. That goes for writing, acting, music, directing, sculpture, painting, all of it. Just trust yourself. Trust your skills, trust your instinct, trust your mind, and trust your heart. Let it all come out. Just Be you. That's really all I got right now. Hopefully, I'll keep these coming. They're a little intermittent right now, but hey, that's okay. Just trying to get myself back up into speed with this thing. And I decided that I was only going to do videos when I actually had something I wanted to say, not just, oh gosh, I need to do a video today. I'm just trusting myself and the universe. Because in the end, the universe will provide. You just have to trust it.